Hello children, how are you? Hope good. This is Shahab Khan and I'm back with my new video on my YouTube channel Urban Learning Way UL Way. I'm sure by now you understand the population demography of the two countries Belgium and Sri Lanka, about which we are going to study as to how they dealt with their ethnic diversities. Let us revise what we studied in the previous video. We had studied as to how the different ethnic communities in Belgium and Sri Lanka were spread out, divided in different areas of the country. We studied about Belgium that 59% of the country's population lived in the Flemish region and spoke Dutch. 40% of the country's population lived in the Wallonia region and spoke French. 1% of the country's population was German speaking and lived in the areas bordering Germany. The Brussels capital region was lying in the Flemish region, had 80% French speaking population and 20% Dutch speaking population. Now this was different from the demographic population of the country as a whole, which had a Dutch speaking majority population. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese speaking population was 74% of the country's population and Tamils made 18% of the population. The native Tamil speakers, who were 13% of the total population, lived in the areas of eastern and northern parts of the country. And the Sinhalese speaking population occupied the rest of the country. The Indian Tamil speakers, who made 5% of the population, they lived in pockets in southern parts and north part of the country. And the Muslim population lived in small pockets spread out across different parts of the country. Okay. So this is what we studied in the previous video. Now let us start. Okay, how they dealt with this? These countries dealt with this population. Okay. How these countries dealt with their ethnic diversity. Sri Lanka became independent in 1948 from Britain. The Sinhalese leadership sought to assert their dominance over the other communities by virtue of their numbers, and they followed a majoritarian policy. Let us see some of the policies that they followed. In 1956, an act was passed that recognized Sinhalese as the only official language of the country. Now, this automatically implies that the importance of the other religions, this automatically implied that the importance of the other languages was reduced automatically. Now, then the Sinhalese population was given preference in, the Sinhalese speaking population was given preference in government and university jobs. Now, employment is a sensitive issue as it concerns everyone. So this kind of policy was obviously likely to alienate the people and induce in them a sense of insecurity. The 1978 draft of the constitution, the Sri Lankans redrafted their constitution twice in 1972 and 1978. We need not know much about it. We should not be bothered about that much. But the 1978 of the draft constitution made Buddhism the foremost religion of the country. Not to be mistaken with the official religion, but the implications were similar kind of. Now it became the constitutional responsibility of the government to protect and foster the religion. Now religion is a very emotive issue, right? Religion is a very emotive issue, and this policy was going to increase the people are going to have a heightened sense of insecurity because of this policy. So these were the policies that Sri Lanka, majoritarianism policy that Sri Lanka adopted. And let us now see what the effects of these policies were. The Tamils felt alienated from the mainland, from the mainstream. They felt alienated from that they did not belong to this place. This was, they felt segregated from the mainland. They felt alienated that this is not the place where we belong to. Nothing was happening the way they wanted. So the Tamils felt alienated. Their trust in the political system and the political parties was zero-like. It started reducing since the inception of the different laws, and then it gradually became zero. Their trust in the political parties, they thought that the political parties did not care about them and they were not responsive to their needs. Okay, so obviously the relation between the Tamil and Sinhalese communities was strained because there was mistrust between the communities. Okay, so they tried to find their voice by launching regional parties and movements. Okay. Now, why did they launch these parties and movements? Their demand was for recognition of Tamil as an official language of the country and equality in vis-a-vis, equality, equal opportunities vis-a-vis government and university jobs, and also equality vis-a-vis education also, right? Now they started demanding regional autonomy. They started demanding. Now conditions started deteriorating, and obviously then they thought that now nothing could be done. We can't live with this mainstream. They are alienated, so it's not possible to live with them. So they started demanding regional autonomy. The demand was for a Tamil Elam. Now Elam is the native Tamil name for Sri Lanka. Native Tamil name for Sri Lanka. Okay. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam, I'm sure you must have heard about it. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam, LTT, also known as Tamil Tigers, they rose into prominence. They rose to prominence, okay. It was a militant organization that fought to create an independent Tamil state known as Tamil Elam. They fought, they targeted the government offices, local politicians, policemen, and even clashed with armed forces, okay. So the overall condition became so bad. There was a bloody civil war in the country that resulted in the death of more than 100,000 people. That included civilians, children, and women. So it ended in this civil war ended in 2009 with the defeat and decimation of LTT. It was completely decimated, but along the way it caused a lot of distress, lot of suffering, lot of pain, lot of anger. The pain was, it caused so much of suffering along the way. Okay. Now let us see how Belgium responded to the diversity in the country. 4 constitutional amendments were made between 1970 and 1993 that made Belgium the federal state that it is today. Okay. The reforms and amendments were made to ensure that the aspirations of the different sections of the society were taken care of, and all the regional communities in the country were given a share in the power of the government. They were made a shareholder in the government. Obviously, this was going to make everyone happy, right? And it was done in an innovative way to provide power to every section of the society. The penetration of power was made very, very deep. It reached to every section of the society. So it was very innovative, and the results were very good. It had no precedence. Some of the elements of the Belgium model of governance are here. Like, okay, Belgium was made a federal constitution monarchy. Federal constitutional monarchy implied that the king was the head of the state and the prime minister was the head of the government. Okay. Then this decision making was divided between 3 levels of government: the federal government, the 3 regional governments, 3 regions, Flemish, Wallonia, and Brussels, and 3 linguistic based community governments. The federal government was for matters like defense, foreign affairs, justice, finance, etc., etc., etc. And the ministers were drawn from the coalition of political parties that made up the government. The ministers were drawn from the coalition of political parties that made up the government, and they were formally appointed by the king. Okay, the regional government had jurisdiction over matters like transportation, public work, water, public health, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and the community government presided over regional. They presided over language, cultural, and educational issues. Okay, now the key features of this model of governance. The key features of this model of governance, which provided accommodation to different sections of the society, all sections of the society, we can say, are like: in the federal government, number of French and Dutch ministers to be equal, that is 7 each. Okay, in this system of governance, in the federal ministry, it was stipulated that the number of French speaking ministers and number of Dutch speaking ministers would be equal, that is 7 each, and the prime minister would complete the council of ministers. There would be 15 ministers, 7 Dutch speaking ministers, 7 French speaking ministers, and 1 prime minister, and the council is complete, case closed. Okay, now here the French would be obviously the happier side, because despite they being in lesser in number, they have got equal representation, right? Okay, now there were some laws which could not be passed without the support of the majority of members of each linguistic community. See here, each linguistic community is being given proper importance, proper share in the power, until unless it has the support of the majority of members of each linguistic community, the law would not be passed. What does this mean? Everyone is happy. The emotive issues are taken care of. The emotive issues are taken care of. Okay, obviously this would relate to cultural linguistic educational issues only. Okay, but the emotive issues are taken care of. Okay, now the regional governments were not subordinate to the federal government. Within their jurisdiction, they were free to, could act independently. Okay, the government of Brussels was such that both the communities, the French and Dutch speaking communities, had equal representation. Now the French shouldn't have any problem here because they were given, despite being lesser in number, they were given equal representation in the federal government. So they should not be having any problem, and here the Dutch would be the happier side, right? So everyone is being made happy. Now there's a community government which is elected by people belonging to that linguistic language community. Okay, that is there, and it takes care of those issues. Okay, so this was the model that Belgium drafted. This was the model that Belgium came out with, and it does appear a bit complicated. As a matter of fact, it is. But what it has done, it has ensured that every section of the society feels that it is empowered. Every section of the society feels that it is empowered. It has got a share in the power of the government. Okay, every section feels that it is a part of decision making. It is a part of the decision making process, which it actually is. Every community feels that is a part of the decision making process, which it actually is. Okay, so what does this does? It brings about stability, and when there is stability, there would be progress. So the pluralism that Belgium adopted led it on the path of prosperity, growth, development, and the result was, when the European Union was formed in 1993, Brussels was made the headquarters of the European Union, right? Okay, so what do we learn here? We learn, the learning is very simple, that for the unity of the country, unity and integrity of the country, every section of the society, the feelings and interests of every section of the society needs to be taken care of. Okay, when that is done, there will be stability. When that is done, as in the case of Belgium, that eliminates the possibility of clashes, that eliminates any confrontation, and when that is the case, it is all growth, development, all the indices showing good numbers, as I spoken in the previous video. But in the case of Belgium, we see it was on the path of progress and development, became a model state, and Brussels the headquarters of the European Union. But in the case of Sri Lanka, what happened? We saw that there was chaos, there was anarchy and bloodshed in Sri Lanka. Okay, instead of developing and progressing post-independence, it was an opportunity to grow and develop once they got independence, but they became bankrupt in 2022. So that's it, children. I hope you have understood the things well. In the next video, we'll study why, in a structured way, we have studied the same thing here through case studies in a structured way, why power sharing is desirable. If you have any doubts, you can post it in the comment section. Keep watching, keep liking, and keep subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching the video.